Hi, everybody, and welcome again to a stream. In this stream, we are going to talk about a new tool that I've made called GitHub Actions Watcher, and we are going to dive into the source code of this nifty little tool. Now, you may have seen me tweeting it on Twitter yesterday, but for those who don't, let me show you this package or this tool first. So this tool has already been released. It's at Spatie GitHub Action Watcher. And you can see that this is a CLI tool to see the status of all your GitHub Action workflows in real time. How am I going to start with this? I didn't prepare this too much, as I like to keep these streams a little bit informal. If you have some questions, do let me know. And hi to everybody who's saying hi into the chat. Okay, so probably all of you by now have heard of GitHub Actions. It's a wonderful CI that at Spatie we use for almost every project and every package. And using GitHub Actions, we can make sure that certain things are in order. We, for instance, do code style checking via GitHub Action. We run the tests via GitHub Action. We run static analysis via GitHub Actions and so on. And normally we also run these locally when we're developing, but before we deploy a project or when we release a package, we want to make sure that the GitHub actions on GitHub itself also run fine and not only check it on our local machine. Now, you also might have heard of the GitHub CLI. If you haven't, it's a real treat. You can basically do anything that you can do in GitHub's UI, you can do via the terminal as well. And you can even take a look at the status of one of your workflows via the GitHub CLI, but there wasn't anything in the GitHub CLI that could take a look at all of your unique actions and just display the status of them all in one go. And that's why I've created a package to just take a look at the status of all these jobs very easily with one tool so that I can check that everything is in order just from the CLI. Let's take a look at how that tool looks like. So let's maybe go to one of our packages, namely Laravel Backup. And I've already installed the tool. Installing the tool, if you want to follow along, is very easy. The only thing that you need to do is Composer Global require Spatie GitHub Action Watcher, and then you can use it for every project. I should also say that this tool doesn't have any requirements at all, so you won't run into any installation issues where you might have problems with versions with with dependency errors. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, how we did that, how we can avoid dependency problems. Let's first take a look at how the tool works. So I can just type Actions Watcher here. And here you can see that it now tries to see all of the different actions that there are. And it gives the latest ones that you have run here did run successfully. You might not know this, but on the terminal you can have hyperlinks as well. This is all powered by Termwind. I'm going to talk about that later too. And in iTerm, if I press the command key and hover over one of these dotted underlines, then I can click it and go to where the link goes to. So here I go to the package itself, But with these links, I go to the latest workflow run, and you can see that this one is a successful one. Okay, let's see it actually in action. So if I go to, oh, I shouldn't have jumped out here. So I'm going to touch maybe another PHP file, something like that. Let's commit it and let's push it. And let's see what happens then. So if I now do actions watcher, within a look, we can see that on GitHub, new jobs were added, but they're not running yet. So we need to wait a little bit. This screen actually auto refreshes automatically. I'm going to show you that too, how that works. It's kind of neat that you can do this in the CLI app. And I hope that GitHub does work during the stream. Otherwise, I can't show you too much. Ah, yeah, so the fixing is already done and the tests are in progress. You see that the command is still running. So we're waiting until that the tests all pass. And if they pass, you're going to see that the command will end and it will have a successful error state. Let's wait a little bit. If I knew any jokes, I would tell them you now, but I'm not really, I don't have like the brain that can remember jokes. While we wait, I want to draw your attention also here that we are logged in here. I'm going to log out actually when this finishes, and also show you the login flow, because that's also something very nice, I think. Yeah, we can see that all of our actions have ended. We get a nice green message here showing us that everything is okay. If there was anything that went wrong, then this would be a big red block. And so this allows you to just check the GitHub actions just from the CLI. I think it's very handy. Now in this package, we only have two checks, but let's maybe go a little bit meta and go to GitHub Actions Watcher and run the tool itself here. So here it's Actions Watcher, like that. So here we have a couple more, like you see. Okay, let's exit out of this one and maybe log out here. Actions Watcher, not a dash here, just like that. Log out. Now I've been logged out. I'm not logged in anymore. So also make this a little bit more beautiful. And let's now log in. So why do you want to log in the first place with this tool? There are actually two reasons why you want to log in. The first one is the most important one. If you're not logged in, then the tool won't work for any private repos, because then we are not allowed by the GitHub API to see private repos. So by logging in, you can see every repo that your account has access to. And the second reason is that the rate limiting for GitHub for authenticated API requests is much higher than for anonymous requests. And this tool, yeah, because it uses polling, it makes quite some API requests behind the scenes. Okay, let's log in here. So we are going to log in. And here you can see that we get a code here that we should fill in a page at GitHub. And this is a little bit magical. I think that this will work. So we are going to connect to GitHub. We're going to click here, and let's just do it that you see both things at the same time. Let's paste the code in here. Let's do continue. I'm going to do this on my other screen. I'm going to scroll down and press OK. I'm not going to show you this because there are some of our clients that are listed here. You can already see one actually. And it's not really top secret, but I want to share as little information about our client work as possible. So I'm going to authorize this. I'm going to fill in my password, and then I'm going to bring it back, fill it in. And yeah, now it's all set. So congratulations, you're all set. And with any luck, the terminal auto updates, and we're now logged in as me in this case. So that's how logging in works. And I think this is a very nice flow. I've put some work into making this work. The alternative was that you should create a token at GitHub itself and paste it in somewhere. But I think that this flow is much nicer. Just copy and pasting a code here, and then you're done. And that's basically everything that the tool can do. You can see that it is quite simple, but I've been using it for like about a month now for every package and every project that I work on. And yeah, it's become unmissable for me. Okay, let's take a look at the source code of how this works. So let's go to GitHub Action Watcher. For those that don't know this panel yet, this is not Alfred. I've been using Alfred for quite some time, but this is a new tool called Raycast, and I think it also has a very polished. It provides a very polished experience. I think there are good plugins. I can do basically any tasks that I want to do in such a window, and yeah, I can really recommend it. Okay, let's go to the source code. So GitHub Actions Watcher. You can see that just by looking at this, that this isn't a regular package. We don't have like a source directory, but we have an app directory. That's because this, of course, isn't a package that you install into a Laravel application, but this is a tool. And this tool is built using Laravel 0. We are going to see it somewhere here, I think. Here, Laravel 0 framework. And Laravel 0 is basically a lightweight variant of the Laravel framework. It's not an official one. It's made by Nuno Maduro. And it's aimed to build CLI applications, which is what we want to do here. So it makes it very easy to write something like this. If we go to app, then we have, like in a full Laravel application, a commands directory where we can have several commands for the different functionalities of this tool. Now you saw me typing in actions watcher the whole time without giving an extra command here, because this is the watch command, and you can pass in several options here. Oh, sorry. Here I don't give a command at all. That's because I've marked the watch command as the default command that should be executed. So if I go to the config, and I think it's in commands here, then we can see the default command is the watch command, meaning if you don't provide an argument, then we will execute that watch command. Let's see what will I show first, the watch command or maybe logging in. Let's maybe start with the watch command, and you'll see that this is all pretty simple stuff, but I decided to still live stream it because I want to show off Termwind a little bit. And I can see that Francisco Madeira, the co-creator of Termwind, is here in the chat. So you should definitely thank him for all the neat little Termwind things that you'll see. Okay, so if we execute that actions watcher, then you can already see that we clear the entire screen. So my prompt isn't there anymore. If I just clear this and I execute again, then you can see that the previous prompt is gone. And let's maybe, oh no, I've already showed you that. Let's just continue here. And we do that here with just this clear screen. If you take a look at the implementation of clear screen, you can see that we write something very funny to the output. So these are basically special characters that we write to the output. And this is a standardized way of sending a message and clearing the screen. I've done it here manually now. I've looked up these codes so I could just write them there. I think right now this method is built into Termwind itself. So if you use Termwind, there's like a dedicated method for that, so you don't need to do that anymore. And I'm going to refactor this probably a bit after the stream. Next, we are going to call show header here. And show header, that is this purple block here. So let's take a look at its implementation. And here you can already see a little bit of those Termwind views. So Termwind, for those that don't know it, is a way of using Tailwind classes to style your CLI output. And I think we saw an example here. You can render just a string here, and you can see that we have a div and some classes here. But you can also just pass a view to the render function. So you can actually, if I click here and show it to you here, we have actually some blade views here that we can render. And these things will actually style everything here. So you can see that we use the full width. We have some white text here. We are going to center it. The background is blue. And that is basically this text that is here. If we are logged in as somebody, we're going to say logged in as, and if not, then we are not logged in. And I think this is a really convenient way of doing stuff like this. How you had to handle this previously is by just manually spitting things to the terminal and have like ugly codes to do any of this. I've done such things in the past, and it's really not that nice to maintain. And just using a view makes it just so much clearer to what is going on. So I'm a pretty big fan of doing it this way. Okay, let's go back to the watch command. We've cleared the screen. We're showing the header. We have some temporary output here going on. I don't know if you can see it. If I execute this, fetching GitHub workflow runs. So that's what we saw here. Next, we are going to take a look at the vendor and the repo. Now, this is something that I didn't emphasize yet, but the workflows that you are going to see with the tool are the ones for the directory you're in. So we are going to detect, is this a Git repository? And if so, we are going to reach into the configuration of Git to fetch the vendor and the repo name and the branch name. So this has been a while since I've tried it, but if I execute this in something that isn't a Git repo, then you can see that we get an error message here. Okay, back up like that. Let's bring the output a little bit back into view. Let's take a look at how that is done. So get vendor and repo. And it's actually been a while since I've wrote this code. So for me, it's also discovering it a little bit. I have a dedicated object here, local Git repo, where I can fetch the different things from. So let's go to that class. This is an interesting one. So we are going to execute Git and give it some options to get the necessary information. And on my machine, just typing Git works, and I guess on most machines that will just work. But I guess there are some, for some people, or maybe on some systems, maybe Git isn't so easily invocable, or it is in a special path. And what Symfony provides us is with a special class that you might not know, called the executable finder. And what this does is you pass it an executable you want to find, and it will look for you in like the common places where a binary exists on the system it's running on, and it will give you the full path back. So if some people customized how Git is invoked, then this will probably solve it. And we use that Git path in the command that we want to build up. So this is the command where we are going to get some information from. It's been a while since I've programmed this, so I don't know what it actually is. This gets the branch name. Okay. Let's read it a little bit further. So this is, get current branch, get binary path, get configured URL. This is to get the URL of which repository this belongs to. And then we are going to try to get the vendor name and the repo from this string. And you can see that we are trying to get this little string here between the github.com and the .git. There are quite a few ways of cloning something. If you do it via HTTP, then the URL will start with HTTP, and that's why we have a couple of different cases here. So with this class, we know the branch name and the vendor name and the repo. Okay, back to the watch command. So here we have the vendor and the repo. Let's see, where were we? Branch, get the branch. So you have the option of specifying a branch with the branch option. So if you can do another branch here, if you want to do it. Now, normally I would just switch to the develop branch and execute command 10, but you have the option to do this. Let's go back. So get branch. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. So here we are going to get the workflow runs. Let's put it back into view. We are going to get these runs, and now they are finished, but you've seen it previously that when the runs are not ready yet, then the command will actually show you the latest information. So let's see how that works. So we are going to display the workflow runs. We are going to do this in a loop. And this should continue watching thing. It will always return true if not all workflow runs are done yet. We're going to take a look at that later. Let's first to display workflow runs. You can see that it's actually quite simple. I have a GitHub object here, and that's basically just to send the API calls to GitHub. I'm not going to go through it all, but we're simply going to make a request, and then we are going to convert it to workflow run objects where we can easily get the status and the name from. So here we are in that loop, and we are going to get these runs, and then we are going to clear the screen and show the header again. And just by looping over it the whole time, and just clearing the screen, showing the header, showing the latest status of the views, we are getting the illusion that this all just updates the things right in place. But what actually happens is that we constantly clear the screen and just render it again. There's also a sleep involved there, that we don't do it like thousands times a second, but only once a few seconds. We're going to show you that in a bit. And this is basically how you can make something auto updating on the CLI. I've done it manually now, but in Termwind, this will also be formalized. I think they're adding a live function in Termwind. It isn't in the stable version just yet because they want to polish it a little bit. This is basically the naive implementation, and I think you could make it a little bit more robust than what I've done here. Here is that should continue watching function. And here you can see I've made it very readable. If there are active runs in the found workflow runs, then we are going to continue. So if we don't have any active runs, then we're going to stop, because then everything is done. We also have an option single pass, where we're not going to wait, but we're just going to show you the latest status. And if we get here, then we're going to sleep for 8 seconds. Now, 8 seconds can be quite a lot, but this is just to ensure that you won't hit any rate limiting. Maybe if you're logged in, maybe I can set this to something like 2 or something, but I don't think 8 is a bad default, if I'm honest. I'm a kind of patient person when this is on my screen. Let's take a look back. So here we continue on looping, and if everything has worked out successfully, then we are going to return with a status code success and also show the success. And show success, that's also a Termwind kind of thing. So if we click through show message, then you can see that we also have a nice little view where we can format those messages, so we can center it and give it a nice background color and such. So this is a very nice way of doing this, and I think this looks way better than just using something like this info or this error, because you have like full control of the styling. One thing that I certainly like about Termwind is the fact that you can give things a little bit of margin. I don't know if you noticed, but all of this content, it isn't next to this border or next to this. There's a little bit of breathing space between everything, and I think that makes a difference to a usable command and a very beautiful command. And with Termwind, you can just add some margins just by using those Tailwind classes, which is very nice, I think. Okay, I think that is the entire watch command. You can see that it isn't very difficult at all. Most of the time that I spent on this was just organizing things and making things readable, and trying Termwind a little bit, because this was the first time that I used Termwind. And if I am honest, this tool was basically an excuse to get to know Termwind a little bit. Okay, let's maybe take a look at the logging command to see how that works. Login. So you see me doing it. I'm going to just put this into view. So actions, watcher, login. I'm already logged in, so I'm going to log out and I'm going to log in. So you can see that output here. So what are we going to do? First thing I should say probably is that this command, let me take a look. Yeah, I should say that first probably. All of these commands extend another command, an abstract command. And here, all of these things like clearing the screen, show header, and those little methods to show success and error messages, they live on that abstract command, so that the other commands can easily use this functionality. And I think, yeah, I also have like a config repository on there, which is a class of my own. And this is basically a convenient wrapper around a class called value store. And value store is a package that makes it easy to just write some things to a JSON file. And all the configuration of the actions watcher, and that is basically now just the token of GitHub, it is written into the JSON file, and we write that file in your home directory. So this is a little bit of code to find out what the home directory is in all operating systems. Value store, maybe that's also a good one to show you. GitHub Spatie value store. Yeah, you can see that this is a package of our own here, and it can be used to easily store some values. This is a package that is handy in a lot of situations, I think. If you want to write something down in an easy way, just use this, and you can see that I'm not the only one liking this package. Okay, so that's that config thing here. Let's go back to the login command. You can see that we first check if there is already a GitHub username stored in our configuration. Then we show an error, you are already logged in. You saw that earlier. But if there is nobody logged in yet, then we are going to start this process. And we are going to make a call to GitHub with start user verification, and that will kickstart the entire process. So a call to this endpoint will give you back a response with some interesting information in. So we can, I've typed it here. We get an array back with a verification URL, a device code, and a user code. And that device code, that is basically your session ID. So with any subsequent calls in this authorization flow, we are going to use that device code so GitHub knows like we are authenticating this specific application and machine. So we are going to start with this. Let's go back to login. We are going to clear the screen again and show you the header, this, and then some extra information. So we are going to render a view called login. And I want to say again, I really love that I can just use blade views for all this kind of stuff. And here we are going to display that user code. So that's this little thing there. And we got that user code with that start verification thing. So you can see that it comes from the response there. We are going to render our view. And here's the neat thing. Here we are going to start a little loop, and we are going to loop until we get what we want, and we want a GitHub access token to use with the API. And while we're not getting an access token, we are going to check the response every 5 seconds. And at GitHub, there's another endpoint that we can use. And yeah, we're going to pass in that device token that we got from our first call. And this call will actually give you nothing until the user has pasted this into the web, into the web version of GitHub in the browser, and the user has given some authorization. After that, this endpoint will return us an access token. And yeah, see, it is here seemingly, because we're looping, this seems like a little bit interactive, but it's basically just polling that is going on. Yeah, and after we get that that access token, we can get more information about the user. So we get the username, and then we are going to store that all into our little config class here, which is the thing with that value store going on there. And that is basically all there is to it. Then we just display that success message, and that's basically it. So it's not that difficult at all, but I hope by showing you this, and if you need to do something like this in your own CLI application, that this can serve as like a good example of how to achieve this. So, yeah, I think that's kind of everything for this package. Maybe let's look at the logout command, but it's very simple. If there was nobody logged in, then we say nobody was logged in. And otherwise, we are going to flush our config, which just erases all the things from our stored JSON file. So nothing really special to this. Now, there's maybe one thing that I want to draw your attention on, and that is if you look at composer.json, then you can see that in our requirements here, there's nothing here. It all lives in require.dev. Why is that the case, and how can this work? Well, we don't want to have any requirements here, because we don't want to have like any dependency issues when people install this into their global dependencies. You've seen that in the README, we ask people to install it globally. Let's bring it back into view here. Yeah, Composer Global. And probably globally, you already have some other tools that might depend on Symfony 5 or 6 or maybe Laravel 8 or 9. And if we would have like a Laravel or Symfony dependency here that doesn't really work well with your other global installed things, then you won't be able to use our tool. Now, how do we solve this? Because we actually do use Laravel behind the scenes. Well, Laravel 0 has a solution for this. What Laravel 0 can do for you is building a var file. And a var file is basically like a self-contained file where an application lives in together with all its dependencies. There's a little bit more to it that you don't need to necessarily know, because it's been taken care of by Laravel 0. But I think it will, behind the scenes, it will actually also rewrite any namespaces so you don't have any collisions at all. Let's try building that var. So you can do it with this command. I've made a little composer script for it. So composer build. And here I can build a version. I'm just going to say yes to everything now. And I think it builds it into builds here. And here we have that actions watcher. And normally this is a var file. Normally in PHP Storm, I can just click this open. Normally PHP Storm is able to read var files, but for some reason I don't get the the support for var files here. And basically what you are going to call when you call Actions Watcher is that var file that is self-contained. I think we could also see it here. Yeah, so this is what instructs Composer to execute, and we say, hey, execute builds Action Watcher when this is called. So yeah, Laravel 0 does a lot to make this very easy. So there you have it. It's just a nice little CLI tool that uses both the power of Termwind, of Laravel 0, and we leverage the GitHub API in a neat way. I was pretty happy when I've built this, because this was the first time that I was using Laravel 0. It was the first time that I used Termwind, and I had a really enjoyable experience. Now, normally this tool would have been released much earlier. I had some issues with getting it ready for PHP 8.1 and also for Laravel 9. But now that all the underlying tools support PHP 8.1 and Laravel 9, yeah, it all just works, which is nice. So if you are interested in this, do go over to the repo and install the tool. I think if you work a lot with GitHub Actions, then you like it. Now, before I leave you, I want to say one more thing that's not entirely related. I'm working on a new course. It isn't mentioned here, but it is together with Christoffel Rumpel. And we are going to create a course where we are going to focus on writing readable PHP. So we are going to share all our tricks to make PHP as readable and as maintainable as possible. This is now just our placeholder page. Next week, we are going to show you the full marketing site, and I also can already share that we'll have like a free part of this course as well. We'll have an email course that spans for, I think, 5 or 6 weeks, where we are going to show you some neat tips on how to make your code more readable. So I hope that you'll like that. Oh, I didn't share my screen. Sorry, it's this page. So Spatie readable PHP, and here you have all of the information. If you're interested in this, yeah, subscribe to our newsletter. Okay, that's it all for me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.